Hello, welcome to Dissident Canada. My name is Tyler. Today continues the week of disappointment from Donald Trump with his doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down about the Epstein files not coming out. That they are. What did he first say? Oh, there's. Oh, what is the meme? It's Epstein files. They're on my disk. They don't exist. And then now they're magically a work of Obama and the Clintons to discredit Trump. It's like, man, Trump's digging in his own hole, and I talked about that the other day. That's really, really fucking bad for the United States. That Trump wants to self-destruct over this. Like there was a way to deal with this. There was a way to do a smart cover-up if he so choosed that did not involve eventually insulting his base, not once, not twice, but now thrice. The man is going to have serious problems. But there is a glimmer of hope in this whole debacle. And it's quite interesting. There is a increasingly growing number of vocal discontent over the handling of the situation. Obviously, I have now seen, a couple days in a row trending on X something that has to do with the Epstein files, whether it's uh, declaring that they're Trump or just seeing Epstein trends, something like that. All right. This situation isn't going away anytime soon, but the good thing that it's created is that potentially my fears of, worst case scenario, doing damage to, say, the populist base around the world, of them not showing up to vote for, say, a generation or so, it seems to have energized these people. Now, they may not come out to vote if you have traditional style candidates, but it really does leave an opening for a untraditional candidate, because with Trump breaking the trust, which was something only he could ever do, he created an opening and a realization that you cannot trust establishment types and establishment adjacent types. The latter being Trump and his constant rewarding of establishment people in his administration. Again, Mark Levin has helped lied more people into stupid wars than a lot of people. And he's on Trump's team. You've got Susie Wiles, the lobbyist connected to basically everybody, but most of note, Pfizer. Brooke Rollins, the head of the Secretary of Ag, who is highly connected to Big Ag. Yeah, that's just to name 3 out of a lot of bad picks that Trump has made. So this is leading to a growing, again, realization that you can't trust these people. And I believe there's a good chance that after the midterms, this may lead to, say, a collapse of the Republican Party. Now, when I say collapse, I don't mean so much that the party goes away. I mean a similar situation to, say, what the NDP over here in Canada is going through right now, which is a collapse in voting support. They lost half their vote in the last election, and they're having serious problems with with donations. If you look at the Republicans, if the donor base looks at the voter base in the next turnout and says, you can't get these people, I'm not going to get my quid pro quo, I'm not going to give you money, the party can no longer operate the way it has been, and it could self-implode, which would then hopefully lead to self-reflection of the party and being rebuilt. This has happened a few times to lots of parties over the years. You get these boom-bust cycles with parties. You know, they boom, explode up, get overconfident, and then destroy themselves, and then bust, repeat. You know, you can see it happening here in Canada, where we're looking to be at the end of a boom cycle of the Liberals, potentially. That is mostly on the Conservative party, though. If they can finally get a half decent candidate, they could actually win. Unlikely though, because they've now run basically back to back 4 of the same guy, just different avatars. Like, what's the difference between Harper, Scheer, O'Toole, and Pierre? Like, they're all the same dipshit. Although I will say that Scheer is the one who looks like the biggest dweeb of them all. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Another scenario is that, and I think is a more likely scenario, is that someone comes along and looks at the MAGA movement, which is not a Trump first movement, it is an America first movement, looks at the Maha movement and does something similar to what Ross Perot did. But I think it may actually build a party, a different kind of party, one that is focused on the representation of its constituents, of the voter, of the electorate, and properly representing the country. This is just a feeling I get. Like, there's obvious, massive discontent with the system in the States, as there is in Canada. We just haven't seen someone successfully enough buck the current system. Like, yes, Trump kind of did, but like he also has bowed way too much to the establishment. So it leaves a great position for a legitimate third party that again is how should I put it, is viable. That's the word I was searching for. The party will have viability because it won't have the legacy that it needs to deal with. That, say, like, if the Libertarian Party got its act together, there's a whole host of problems that you inherit with that. Or if you reform the Republican Party, like Trump didn't really reform, he just became the new face. So you not only have the legacy effect problem of you're in the same party, you occupy the same space as these pieces of shit. A new party doesn't have that, and this party that will be viable will not be the whatever Elon Musk's party is. Like, that's just some form of technocrat, pretend libertarian, fiscal conservative bullshit. All Musk really wants, most likely, is to seize control of NASA, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Energy, and any viable control of spending that will keep the redirection of Americans' people's dollars to him. Because, again, Musk is not that great of a businessman. He has one success, that is PayPal, and I will give that to him. Everything else past that is, hey, I got a whole fuck ton of tax dollars. Well, it's not all tax dollars. A lot of it will be bonds. But I got Big Daddy government to give me shit tons of money so my companies can grow artificially, create a massive bubble. Like, if you don't think that Tesla is a bubble, I would like to point out Tesla is the largest car company on earth with next to fuck all customers. Like, Tesla has something less than 3%. Because EVs are, 3%, and, again, the majority of them. So it's less than 3%. Now, is that significant market share? Kind of, but it's capped out. And for continual growth, it needs to be showing growth. And where's Tesla's growth going to come from? Like, I was looking at an article the other day. His robo-taxis are abject failures. The Hyperloop is an abject failure. The tunnels under Las Vegas are an abject fucking failure. Like, at a certain point, Musk's company, his grift is going to come to an end. But, anyways, like, this Epstein disaster is a catalyst and a flashpoint at the same time. It is catalyzing a group against the establishment like never before. The people who are leaving or backing away from supporting Trump. Now, they may still, say, hey, I support him, but they are radically pissed off by this. Because of what it represents. Like, it's the protection of the deep state. Although Brett Weinstein, what was it? I can't remember. The other day had a podcast in which he and his wife were talking about the specific cover-up of Epstein, and very good. I highly suggest you go find it. Again, me getting distracted is nothing new. You've got this catalyst event, and it could be another one of those flashpoints in history where this leads to a massive building of, again, something that is at anti-establishment. It doesn't exactly have to be a party, but there is now a massive recognition of a group of people who are increasingly dissatisfied. This will lead to something. It may take a long time. And this is the thing that people don't understand when talking about, like, oh, why haven't people revolted yet? Like, it takes time. When you look at history and you look at the time frame of, well, how long were things getting bad? Like, if you look at, say, the French Revolution, it was hundreds of years of small things building up until the people of mostly Paris had no hope left. And you had all these little flashpoints where things went horribly wrong. Same thing with the Russian Revolution. Like, it's not, oh, hey, the taxes increased by 2%, let's revolt. It's the taxes increased by 2% for the last 100 years. Or so. Like, it's that long of a catalytic situation. And we are very obviously building to something. But that all-encompassing hope for the future hasn't been utterly crushed yet with enough people. There isn't enough people out there saying that have been pushed too far or at their breaking point and say, I've got nothing left to lose. Let's go. So hopefully we don't reach that point. Hopefully instead, we get this constructive movement to build something, and we can change not just public opinion in certain instances of things, but we can also change the way government does things. Like this is what today's white pill is all about, is that there is a very good chance, again, of something constructive coming out of this horrible situation. Like protecting anybody that did anything bad with Epstein, because Epstein had legitimate business, even though it was mostly a front. He tried to ingratiate himself with everybody, so that's why he gave people lifts on his fucking plane. So that should, his nefarious deeds be found out, it would implicate innocent people, and he could bring a much larger group down with him. It's the protection that he had. There are ways around that when investigating that apparently Trump doesn't want to deal with. Anyways, I still think likely there's something good that comes out of this. Like, whether it's, a party, some form of, like, nonprofit or lobbying group, I think, or even just a large enough voter bloc that swings elections if they are not represented or properly represented. So there, it's a bad situation, but there's definitely something good that came out of this. On the other hand, like, more people now are looking into and trying to dig into Epstein and all the BS that he did. Like, this doesn't mean the investigation's dead by any means. All right? It just means it's now in the hands of citizens, which means it's going to take a hell of a lot of time, because getting access to certain files and certain information is going to be extremely difficult. But I suspect if there are any decent people left in the FBI or DOJ or wherever, all right, now that Trump has failed to deliver the release of the Epstein files, you could very well see strategic leaks that lead people to information. There could be very smartly done freedom of information requests that aren't specifically looking for, say, stuff related to Epstein, but could find information related to Epstein, like certain connections that say Epstein has. Like, you could potentially get not specific flight logs, but you could get itineraries for some of the large, say, government actors that we know flew with Epstein or suspected. Like, that would all be logged, and that would be in the Epstein file. That would be in their own file that the government has. Like, it's the one thing where government surveillance kind of works against them, is you can subvert the head-on approach by looking at, say, incidentals. Like, for example, you could, say, get from the U.S. government through a Freedom of Information Act. In theory, you could get information about uh, protection for, say, Prince Andrew, who we now totally believe is completely involved in this situation. Because he would have protection in U.S. soil by, say, the Secret Service or some other branch of the U.S. government, and also his own government. Protecting foreign dignitaries is a very important thing that happens. So, if you can get, say, those records, you could probably find out what Secret Service agents did that, and that would lead you down a trail that you could follow. At least in theory. Now, obviously, it's going to be costly, like Freedom of Information Act, free. Learning out how to fill them out is difficult, and I can't get in on this because I'm Canadian. So, yay. But you also have people like James O'Keefe, formerly of Project Veritas, now of O'Keefe Media Group, out there saying that he's not going to let this go away. And if anybody can get video and details about what happened at Epstein, it's him. Like, he got video from inside, the buildings there. So, I think more information is going to come out in the coming months. So, again, this is a setback. And I really do think that a large part of this, of why nobody's releasing the information, is because the people who are implicated, all right, if you went out and charged them, there would be, you most likely have situations where large parts of the government, world governments, would fail. Or not fail, but have serious difficulties, and you'd have serious problems in those countries. You'd have, large percentage of, finance would be, you think the high volatility markets that we saw earlier this year were crazy. Try markets where, Chase Bank, which is now part of JP Morgan, is just done because of dealings with criminal enterprise with Epstein and knowingly protecting it. Or likely Deutsche Bank is probably involved at some point throughout this, because criminal enterprises, typically money flows to Deutsche Bank in some way, shape, or form. It's weird how Deutsche Bank gets connected, even though you would think more like maybe Dutch bankers or Swiss bankers. Just look at, say, Microsoft. What happens to Microsoft if, I know Bill Gates isn't running the company anymore, but, Bill Gates gets, just say, indicted, all right? What happens to the future of Microsoft? That's crazy. What may be in this files is a network of pay-to-play type deal, where you use this as you use what happened as blackmail material, but you also provide a carrot. This is the way honeypots, honey traps work, is they not only hit you with the stick, but they give you a carrot. So what happens if, the majority of massive companies on Earth are entangled in this, and they were built up through this because of this criminal network? Now, again, I'm still very much favor release the documents and let the people decide. Have very public trials of what's going on. Don't just cover it up. Say, oh, no, nothing here. Like, I think this is Pandora's box that you have to open. Now, it may uncover many more such rings that are happening and may lead to, say, the Diddies of the world and others that are potentially running similar operations. And definitely, intelligence community is all over at least Epstein, if not others like this. There are most likely parallel operations happening. And the other thing that I did not mention of why you wouldn't want to deal with this is you may have to deal with the sordid affairs of countries of, say, Romania and Ukraine and what their criminal underworlds do. Also, like you have issues of similar criminal goings on in, say, Thailand and Singapore. Different or same shit, just not being trafficked around the world. Anyways, I still think this ends up decent, not great, because again, I don't think those documents are destroyed. They're too valuable. They're just disseminated throughout the U.S. government archives. Getting them is going to be hard. But I do think some good things come out of this, so it's not all bad. Anyways, that's the video for today. Monday, I may talk about Pierre. I'm still thinking about that because people are once again bringing up that group that wants to have, like, that is somewhat interference. The longest, oh God, what do they call themselves? Longest ballot? Something like that. Those, and they're, the people bringing this up are, obviously there's some shenanigans going on, but it's not to the same level that you would think and is completely overcomable. So probably talk about that. There's also some other interesting things going on. So until then, have a good weekend and see you on Monday.